into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I was screaming into the canyon.
Screaming in the canyon.
Screaming at the TV.
We're right. I was just gonna say that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Affair After Show season finale, and let me just say that we're still in shock right now for everything that jumped off, and went down this particular episode. I'm trying to contain myself right now. Like I'm holding.
Don't do it.
I'm holding the table because I just wanted to just scream like really loud. But let me let you know something. I'm your host, Lim Gonsalves. With me is my partner in crime, my girl, my screen buddy.
Oh God.
Kelly Knezovich.
What up, y'all? I'm Kelly Knezovich. Woo!
Missing is our girl, April. We want to give her a shout out. She's on Christmas break. She wanted to call in, but she couldn't. But man, she would be right there with us, like going nuts. And of course, Josh too, who joined our panel late.
Yes.
He also has an engagement. Shout out to him. Okay, so Kelly, like,
Oh my God.
I don't know what to do.
This was seriously probably the most stressful episode
Yes.
in the history of shows.
Yes.
For me, I was so stressed.
Yeah.
I was shaking. I was yelling. I was screaming.
It was a
I mean,
lot.
you were there.
Yeah, you cried even a little bit. I think there was some tears
There was
that
just
came
so
out.
much going on. Probably some drooling too. You know, we get crazy up in here. What can I say?
It was nuts. Like it was just a crazy episode. We knew it was the finale, so we knew that there was going to be, at least at the very end, there was going to be definitely a big shocker because, of course, as an audience, you want to make sure that we want to tune in for next season.
Right.
So, of course, we knew that was coming. We didn't know where they were going to go with it. We thought, based on last episode, it kind of left us at a cliffhanger there. So I'm like, and there were so many bombs that dropped.
Yeah.
Last episode, I figured like, where do you go now? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like there was so many things that came out that we were kind of either waiting for or there were surprises that we
Yeah.
weren't expecting.
Well, and on the comments for last week's episode on YouTube, you guys said a lot of great things, and
Right.
I actually looked for a lot of stuff having to do with Martin because I think there were 3 or 4 comments
Right.
about Martin saying,
Right.
there's something that has to go on with Martin.
Right.
He's been strange this whole time, and something has to come out this episode, and nothing really did. But I was
Nothing did.
looking for it.
Yeah, I was looking for it too. We barely saw him in this episode. It really did just focus on what it had been. The families. Whitney was big in this episode,
Yeah.
obviously, because of the situation with Scotty, which we'll get into. But it was just, it was bananas. It was bananas. So basically, the start of the episode is Noah, this particular time, his version, and it's about 4 months, and we find this out. And this is obviously both throughout
Yeah.
each of their versions, Allison and Noah. So it's 4 months ahead from the last time that we saw them together at this train station, which was a crazy moment because you have like this culmination. He's coming to her, she's leaving there, but she has Cole with her,
Yeah.
and then they kind of meet up, and basically she gets on the train, and that's it.
We don't know. Are you choosing Noah? Are you choosing Cole?
Exactly.
What you gonna do?
We don't know what's going on. So we get to the point we see Noah. He's actually swimming, and he ends up running into this young lady that he had met, sometime before. He tells her that he's separated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, oh, okay, so he's separated right now. They basically get busy.
Mm-hmm.
Then
they do.
we see him actually kind of going through the gamut of all the people in I feel like his school where he teaches,
Yeah.
and you see him like women, girl after another, like that he's getting down with. So we're like,
was really shocked by that. I did not expect any of that to happen. I didn't know that he was gonna be single, and
Right.
then let alone he's sleeping with a bunch of women.
a bunch of women.
A ton of women.
Right. Right. I mean, so my thing is that just led me to believe that he's not with Allison.
Right. Same
Because obviously when he said he was separated, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well, is he with Allison? What's going on? So he's neither with his wife nor is he with Allison.
Right.
This dude like is back having midlife crisis or what? He's like, I gotta get my groove back or whatever. I'm gonna run through as many girls as I can. He actually ends up getting in trouble. By the school, they count him for disorderly conduct because one of the episodes that he was in, he did it basically at the school.
Right.
So and it looked like a janitor might have saw him or whatever,
Yeah.
reported him. So he had to go to detention.
That was great.
Which was really interesting. And I was talking to you about how a movie that I saw a couple of years ago called Waiting for Superman, which was basically a documentary about the school system. Really, really good. I recommend anybody to go see it, whether you're in education or not. It's a really telling movie, very good. And there was a portion in there that talked about when teachers, have that happen. Either they get in trouble for some reason or another, they violate school policy or something like that. They get put on administrative leave and they go to this detention center where they're still paid their
Yeah.
full salary, and they just kind of sit there for like 8 hours.
I can't decide if that's a dream or if that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, either way you look at it is whack.
It's weird.
It's whack. It's weird. All of that. So he gets sent there, and then he ends up befriending a guy that he ends up getting sit next to, and so we find out that this is where he wrote his book.
Yes.
Because basically he's in there. So for it's. Well, we don't know, indeterminate amount of time or what have you. We
Yeah.
don't find out how long he's in there. But basically, because there's nothing else that they could do, basically everyone's reading or they're on the computer, he decides he's going to write his book. So he
Yes.
basically finishes his book in detention and ends up going to the gentleman that we saw several episodes back that is Bruce's friend. And he
The publisher,
basically,
right?
pitches him the book, and all of a sudden the guy likes it. He's like, we got to get this going.
Well, we know from a couple episodes ago, too, that book, The Descent,
Right.
was turned into a major motion picture.
Right.
But I guess this is the episode, the finale, is when we saw him actually going to that guy. And
Correct,
the guy was like,
correct.
this is great. We could do, was it $500,000 for this?
Well, he said he was going to try to get him $500,000.
Oh, my gosh.
Start this like fake bidding war or what
Yeah.
have you, to go on. But it was interesting to see how that was developed because, we had seen a couple of episodes ago that he, the book was finished and that it was going to turn into a movie. But prior to that, he had been struggling with the book.
Yeah.
It was hard to get it off the ground. He had talked to Bruce about it. Bruce kind of really didn't believe in him. He talked to his wife. His wife really wanted to. Helen wanted him to get it going, but he was like, he was kind of debating. I really just kind of want to teach, this, that, and the other.
But now that he didn't have anything to do, and he was
Right.
there for
Right.
a whole school day, multiple school days,
Right.
doing nothing. I mean,
Right.
he was kind of forced to do it. And once he started going, he just kept going and going and going.
Boom. Seemed like you're pulling from other people in the room as well.
Yeah.
Here too.
And I was really hoping that the guy that he befriended next to him that said, what did he say? You're my hero.
Yes.
On that little
on
note
a little
thing.
note.
Super
Yeah.
cute.
A little love note.
A little love note.
Uh-huh.
I was hoping that he might have picked up his first book just randomly or something and started reading it because that guy killed it with the books. I mean, he was going book after book.
Right.
But that didn't happen.
Right. Absolutely. We do see a glimpse of the detective in this particular episode, him talking to the detective, which there was, and I told you this before we started watching. We knew that the detective was going to be an integral part of this particular
tonight's
season
episode.
finale, simply because we know that Scotty's been murdered at some point in time. We don't know when, and this is what he's investigating. So at some point, that he's going to be throughout it because we got to get some kind of closure, as you will, as to this murder thing. And when I say closure, not like we're going to know who's done it. We got to get something that's going to propel us into the next season,
Right.
which was huge, which mind blown. We'll get into. So it's interesting also, Helen's mother ends up hiring a private investigator
Yeah.
because of the whole Whitney situation, because we saw last episode Scotty got Whitney pregnant.
Yes.
And found out he's pregnant, and then she makes an appointment with Planned Parenthood. Of course, Noah goes down there. He's looking for Scotty. Scotty shows up, and he basically, runs at him. It gets caught on camera.
saying, I'm
like,
going to kill you.
right, which when we find out later is going to really, really go against him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and granted, this is his daughter, so I can understand him being upset. But of course, you going at that with his, what's going on, his record, all that kind of stuff. It's a bad move.
Oh, for sure.
It's a bad move. And I mean, what do you do?
But he was in the moment. I mean, not that I'm standing up for this guy, but he He sees this guy. He realizes, okay, this, 30-year-old, or is he older than that?
Well, he's at least 30. That's what they're saying.
He's at least 30. Well, at least double her age, right? Or at least 15 years older.
She's 17. Even if he's 30, it's all bad.
Well, because she was 16,
16
right? Or
when they
15
started.
Or 16.
Right.
So still, I mean, he finds out that this guy had sex with his daughter, and he's just in the moment. He is heated. He is ready to go.
Oh no, he's completely upset. He's completely upset. I mean, because his whole thing is like he feels like he was taken advantage of because, of course, there's a lot of tie-ins. Now, granted, he was sleeping with, Scotty's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, and this kind of came out also like, who are you to judge? Who are you to be upset when that's happening? I think he's more so this girl is a minor. It's not that it was him per se. I think it was just because this girl's a minor. She shouldn't, you're 30 years old. If the guy was 18 or 19, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal.
I think he still might have been protective in a fatherly
Well,
aspect,
I mean, I think any father, but it wouldn't have been as big of an issue.
Yes.
Because the fact that he's 30, Now, there may have been some kind of, I don't want to say that because I feel like that's just more speculation. The fact that Allison is connected and that whole thing and then being a little bit more upset. I think, again, I'm just standing by the fact that he's really old. Should not be touching his daughter.
For sure.
So he's upset. So we see that also he gets a call from Allison. He's back at home, which I thought was really interesting. Helen wanted him back.
Yeah.
He's been gone. Obviously, again, this has been 4 months. Helen knew of the affairs, or not affairs, basically, but his escapades that he was having.
Because of her mother.
Exactly.
The investigator.
Right, exactly. So, but in all of that, and she tells him, she's like, knows everything that's going on, this, that, and the other, kind of wants to bury him. In a sense, to make him look bad when it comes down to, them getting a divorce and the kids and stuff like that. If he looks bad, he can probably lose his rights with the children, all of that kind of stuff. But then, and after saying all of that, she's like, but I want you here.
What a freak. What is she thinking? She always belittles him. I don't like it. I mean, in every therapy session that they've had together, she's always been like, you were a safe bet and everything. And that comment in the car, I didn't want to marry someone like my father, but I married someone like my mother. Everything she says to him, or, I didn't have to have 4 kids or anything like that. It's just, she makes him feel like crap. Granted, he did have an affair. I totally get it. But I don't think her reasoning and her logic is legit.
I think this is the thing I think with Helen. I think Helen definitely suffers from, there's a self-esteem issue within her. And I think she hides behind her parents and the money and all the kind of stuff, but I don't think she's really comfortable with who she is as a person. And to be honest, like if I really want to go into detail, because I'm like that.
Do it.
I think that Allison poses a threat to her because Allison, she was definitely totally opposite than Helen.
Absolutely.
When it came to, Helen, I like Helen's look, but Helen on the show, she appeared very frumpy and, kind of just plain Jane. Whereas Allison, you see there was shots of her where her eyes are glistening and she's got these summer dresses and, all this kind of stuff going on. And she's very vibrant and all these things. And I think Helen doesn't really like the way she is as a person. That's just, again, me speculating, but I think she doesn't like the way she is as a person. So I think the whole thing with Noah brings life to her. I think because he's a writer, because he's into that type of thing, he's artistic, he's smart. I think that gives her life and gives her reason to kind of complete, them as a couple and kind of gives anything to her, like give her, motivation or what have you. I think without him, she's just, kind of, I don't want to say a nobody, but she's kind of like, that's it. There's nothing to her.
See,
she's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, I think that she really likes pushing people around. I think that growing up, I think her dad was the alpha.
Right.
And he's a writer. So weird. She's like, I don't want to marry someone like my father. And then she chooses to marry a writer.
Exactly.
Okay. I think she has taken on the role of being the alpha and being the one in charge always. And that's why she chose Noah, because he's safe.
Right.
And she had 4 kids. And I think now that he's gone, I think it's really difficult to take care of the children. The 4 children. I mean, you have Whitney who's pregnant. Right. And I'm pretty sure Noah walked out when she was getting the abortion and all that situation. Martin, who's, I feel like he's depressed or he's sad. He's going through some stuff at school. And then you have the little ones. I don't think she can take care of it on her own as much as she likes to be independent. I think she needs someone there to support her. And I don't think she's found another man. So she's like, I guess I'll go back to Noah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to discredit. I think she does love him. Like, I think there is love there, but I think it's definitely, she hinges, and I agree that she does depend on him a lot.
Yeah.
She depends on him a lot. And it's like when now you don't have anybody to depend on, it's like, what do you do now?
Yeah, she's stuck. She needs
And like I
help.
said, I think because of her and I think a lot of it is stemmed from her parents. I don't think she definitely had loving parents.
Yeah.
We see her parents, they're not loving individuals. They kind of, the way they deal with things is crazy. They got a lot of money, but they weren't very nurturing. And I think with her, Noah seems to be more of a nurturing type person. And it's kind of the roles are flipped because she's the mother.
Right.
But he's the one that's more nurturing. He's the one that I feel like, is more when it comes to the kids and knows how to talk to them, whereas she's just very like flat and very matter of fact.
I think she had to become more genuine to the kids, excuse me, more genuine to the kids when Noah walked out.
Right.
Because she was very buddy-buddy with Whitney, and I never saw that side of Helen before. We saw that a little bit in the last couple episodes.
Right.
Yeah. She has to take on a couple new roles.
Yeah. So, again, like I said, Allison calls Noah and says basically he calls her, he doesn't pick up the phone, then she sends a text, says your daughter's here. So she goes ahead and tells Helen, and so they basically go down to Montauk to go pick up Whitney. Awkward sauce, basically.
Yeah.
So they pull up, and again, this is Noah's version, but they pull up, and who's standing outside the house?
Yeah, how convenient.
Allison is right there, and of course they pull up, and it just looks really weird. They walk in. He doesn't say anything to her.
No.
Walks right past her. Basically Helen is like, "Where's my daughter? Give me my daughter. Where's my daughter? What's going on?" Whitney's there, and so the mother, Cherry, wants to talk it out, and she wants to kind of kumbaya the moment. First of all, I've never been a fan of Cherry.
No way.
I think Cherry
she's horrid.
is horrible. I think she's horrible, and I think she's a manipulator. And
she
there's
has one smart cookie though.
Oh no, I'm not saying she's not smart.
No, yeah, I don't like her at all. I don't like any of the mothers. I don't like Margaret, Helen's mother. I don't like Athena.
Right.
No, they're just not good people.
Yeah, they're just I don't know what's going on. But she's very manipulative. And so I think with her, what's going on is she's just trying to, again, use her wills and powers to kind of smooth everything over. She does love her sons.
Yes, she does.
She loves her sons beyond, belief. And so that's why she does a lot of the things she does, even though they may be unorthodox.
Yeah.
Or they may become, seem trite or very, just mean or hateful, but I think she loves her sons, and that's all she has. That's all she has
well, now
is
that
her
she's
boys.
Lost the ranch and the house and everything.
Exactly.
Because I think at this point in the story, they lost the house a week ago. The
According
ranch?
to, when she was talking.
Okay.
She said they'd already lost it. I don't think we had got the timeline until
Allison's. Right?
Yeah, Allison's version.
Okay. So yeah, she doesn't know what she's gonna
Right,
be doing.
exactly. So she's trying to get them, she's trying to sit down and say, well, let's talk about this. And, he didn't mean well. Let's all just forgive one another. I was like, if you don't sit down somewhere, all forgive one another. We all have done wrong. Like, stop it. Like, just let it go. You know what I'm saying? And then we find out, this is the shocker, because again, I think it was either Noah or it was Helen that asked, is Scotty there? And she says, Allison says he's not here.
Allison says, I'm sorry, I don't remember that.
No, that's right. When they first get there, it was Helen actually. Helen, when they walk up, because remember, Noah didn't talk to her.
Right.
So Helen's doing all the talking.
Okay.
Helen says hi. She says, is Scotty here? First she's like, where's my daughter? She's inside. Is Scotty here? And then Allison says, he's not here. Okay. And then she says, where is he? And then she says,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Gone, where did he go?
Not sure.
I don't know. Okay.
So, but the bottom line is that he was not there. We find out that he actually was there and he was hiding upstairs. And again, of course, the mom is protecting him, which she loves her sons, but still wrong move. So
I was shocked to see him say, okay, did you get her out of here? Did you get Whitney out of here? As if he didn't want to see her, which he might not have. But the fact that he went to Planned Parenthood a couple episodes ago, was it the last episode?
It was last episode.
To see if Whitney was there. I mean, he was there I felt like to support Whitney and to be with Whitney, and then now he wants her out of his house. Make up your mind, bro.
Yeah, and I think it's really because of the situation that happened with Noah. Because again, this is after he shows up, Noah comes at him, lunges at him, and wants to whoop on him.
That's right.
So now the fact that she's there, of course, he's feeling threatened.
Yeah.
Because if she's there, then that means Noah can easily be there. If he's there, again, going to get into a fight.
Which happened.
Oh, so of course he comes downstairs. Noah was still there. He came down. Noah sees him. boom, lunges at him. They go outside. They're wrestling outside. Noah starts whooping on him. And then all of a sudden, we hear a gunshot.
Yeah. See, I thought Scotty was dead at that point. I thought someone shot Scotty.
I didn't think it was going to be dead that quick. Like, because again, also he died in an accident.
Oh yeah, it was a car.
So it was a car.
I think I was just trying to figure out how he dies, why he dies.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, we hear a gunshot, and then all of a sudden it is Cole.
Mm-hmm.
It is Cole, and he's like, "Get off my brother!" Mm-hmm. And so he's coming to the rescue of his brother, and it was like this interesting moment, like right before it ended, because it was like, here is Allison, and then you have Cole. You have Cole here, and then you have Noah here, and then Scotty on the ground, and it's like everybody's kind of looking at one another, like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna like?"
Exactly.
Just like, and it was just everybody was kind of looking at everybody like, and then it goes off.
End scene.
End scene.
Yep.
So I was like, "What? That's crazy."
Yeah.
So I mean, what did you think overall just with that version? I know we thought it was kind of premature because it seemed very short, but what did you think overall with that?
Noah's side?
With Noah's version.
One thing that we have yet to bring up was the detective. That whole scene with the detective and the $20,000 for paying off that guy. But I remember last week, and I think you've thought the same too. April thinks that Noah is such a douchebag, and I don't like the way that Noah's behaving. I did not like. He did lunge at Scotty, which I think he has a right to, but I just don't think he's doing anything right. He's not doing the right thing. He's going to Montauk to pick up his daughter, which I don't know if he should have done that, granted, because Allison's there.
Right.
Paying off the guy to not say anything, dumb.
Right.
I mean, don't do that. Obviously he did something to Scotty. He was probably the one to kill him. And then just, going for it with the punch and trying to choke him out and everything.
He's just, he's being, I don't want to say he's being reckless, but I think it's just a situation where with what's going on, he doesn't know, like, you know what I'm saying? He's still like sleeping with the women. Like, I think he's kind of losing it. I think it's what you do when you're just kind of at your wit's end. He doesn't have Allison, nor does he have his wife.
Right.
So he's kind of lost in space a little bit. And so he's kind of doing these things that he really shouldn't be doing instead of kind of focusing.
Yes.
And I think the book kind of wrangled him in.
Yeah.
Doing the book kind of got him together.
Wrote the book during his downtime or his detention. That was what needed to happen.
Right. Gave him some sense of direction.
A little bit of respect on my level, but I still am not a fan of him.
Right. No.
I don't think he's making any right decisions.
Not right now. Not right now.
And comforting Helen, and then going to have sex with her the second after she says, "I miss you."
Well,
What are you thinking?
He obviously has. There's a well, I don't know what you would call it, but.
They've been together for what, 17 years? Is that right? Like forever?
They've been together a long time, but obviously so the name of the show is The Affair.
So
yep. Like, keep it in perspective. But he's a sexual being. The whole situation with Allison, and then of course, with these women, and then his wife, and I feel like he's had some, talks with his boy Max, and they've kind of had, running, in back in their past and back in the day. I remember them kind of talking about that. So he's done his thing. That's his thing. So, that's how he deals with things.
Yeah.
Some people drink coffee.
Some people drink coffee, and they're a lot calmer than that.
So that's what he does.
I just think he has so many anger issues.
Right. He does. Oh, he definitely has anger issues. But I think, again, going back to the situation with Scotty, that was, I don't want to say that was warranted, but what do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect? Really? So let's get into Allison's version.
All right.
So it starts off in an interesting spot because we see her with her mother. And Dennis, my favorite guy, Dennis, he's funny. And that's how we know what happened with Allison, because prior to this, we don't know, again, at the end of the last episode, head together, figuring out what she's going to do. So her mom, kind of is just there talking with her, tells her about a guy, on some hemp soap or hemp bar or something.
Yeah, that whole thing was bizarre. Athena's never been one to be comforting or never been one to be a mother figure.
Right.
And Allison all of a sudden has a great relationship with her.
Right.
I did not expect that coming.
Well, I don't see, that's the thing. I don't think that they necessarily have a good relationship. I think that there was the only person that she could go to, because really, where's she going to go? She was leaving Cole. She's, she can't go to any of his family.
Right. I mean, we did see her go to Phoebe's, but that is in Montauk.
Right, and that's in Montauk, and that's only because Phoebe was back. So
what about that friend in New York when she went to go stay with her in New York?
I don't know. I think maybe that was just too close to Noah.
Yeah.
You know, I think she just needed to get away, and that was really the best thing for her to kind of get away. Like I said, not having a great relationship, but that's, you know, far away where you can kind of collect yourself and kind of figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's how I see that.
Makes sense.
So it was also interesting. There was a quote that Phoebe said, and we're coming back now. She does come back to Montauk. When she does come back to Montauk, you mentioned Phoebe earlier. Phoebe's back because she was kind of using her house to kind of do her business while Phoebe's been out, you know, touring or whatever. So Phoebe's back in town. She meets up with Phoebe. They start talking. They kind of have a heart-to-heart talk. She tells her about the affair, basically the whole summer, brings up to speed, and Phoebe gives her. She says it wasn't real, which I thought was interesting because, I mean, it definitely was real, but it's interesting how when you're in a situation where you're, you know, having an affair, what have you, there's always a level of fantasy there. Because,
I wrote that down too. Yeah,
oh,
I wrote she's stuck in a fantasy. Yeah, because I feel like she's
Yeah.
always just dreaming of what could be with
Right,
Noah,
right.
or even with Cole, she's kind of stopped it because she's
Right.
realized that every time she looks at him, all she sees is Gabriel. And she
Right.
can't be with that because she can't get that image out of
Exactly.
her head. So she's just dreaming of what life could be like with Noah or what it could have been.
Well, and it's an escape for her because we've seen this whole season how basically, and we find out later, I mean, not to give spoiler alert, but she's talking to Cole, and we find out that she basically blames him for the death of Gabriel.
Which he blames her for
Right,
the death
right.
of
But she blames him, and she sees Gabriel in him all the time. So basically, the fact that it's hard to be with Cole because, again, she keeps being reminded of Gabriel. And so the whole thing with Noah and this affair that happened this summer was an escape for her. It was to get away from Cole, get away from the in-laws that are crazy. Everything basically that's in, like, get away from Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just an escape for her to do that. And it was a way, and it was interesting when she was talking about, and this is where I felt like where she was coming from, because she was talking about that point when he kind of grabbed her. She was walking away. He grabbed her, and he just kind of looked at her.
Yeah.
And she just said, he just looked at me. He just looked at me, and I was like, that's what I needed. That was it for me. And so it's like she doesn't get that from her husband. She doesn't get that from anybody else, because I think with anybody else that's, you know, in her family, whether it's her in-laws or whether it's her mother, they're kind of more, they don't have like a special relationship. Like, she's not important almost.
See, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
I feel
yes.
like Noah is in his relationship with Helen, he is the one who is not the alpha. I think Helen is the alpha, and he doesn't.
I agree.
But when he's with Allison, he takes charge. He takes control, and I think Allison likes that. And even in the end of the episode too, when Cole's like, you know, he's being super strong, and he says something along the lines of, you know, you don't like kind people, or that's why you chose Noah because he's not kind,
Right.
and there's a side of him. That's true. I think that Allison really likes people that are strong and determined, even though Noah kind of isn't. But she likes people that take control. And when she started walking away and he grabbed her,
Right.
that moment that you're talking about, that was something that she hadn't seen in a while or
Right.
had never really seen with Cole. And so the fact that he took control, she really liked that.
She really did.
Which
like
is
that.
why also in last episode too, when he was like, what did she say? She said, "I'm yours." And he said, "Say it again," or "Tell me more," or something like that. She likes being told what to do.
Right, exactly. That's a really good point. I thought was interesting that happened at Phoebe's house was MK, her sister-in-law,
yeah.
who, you know, we see previously, like, they were very close. They, you know, did the whole jam thing at the fair or what have you, sold the jam together.
yeah.
And we didn't see a whole lot of MK this season, but when we did, you know, her and Allison were very good, very close. They were sister-in-laws. And so we see her completely upset.
It was so awkward.
Completely upset. She's there, and she's just kind of like, okay, hey, and you know, MK's just basically like, you left us.
You walked out.
You know, because of course we know that they lost the ranch, which we knew at some point in time was going to happen.
Yeah.
But MK basically blames her and says, you just left us alone, and I don't think that's fair. And it was almost like she just disowned the family because she just left.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was upset at her. And then, of course, she runs into Cole, which, again, was awkward. And this is when she goes over to, you know, we see her going over to the house. And that's when she finds out that Noah's daughter is there. Whitney is there. And so, but the whole moment with her and Cole after being, gone for so long.
Ooh, yeah.
And this is actually this is not at the in-laws house. This is before that. This is at her house, which is actually her house.
It is her house. I thought it was like their house.
I thought so too.
But...
And I was just like, wait a second, and the whole time he's just like, and you mentioned about, her wanting somebody to take charge. I wonder if the fact that Cole doesn't own that house and she's kind of the one that's in charge of that house and in charge, and Cole kind of diverts everything is with his in-laws and his mother kind of runs things. And
well, this whole time too, when she said I had an affair, he was like, "It's okay, I still love you." Being very soft and tender and taking care of her. And I think she wanted someone to be like, "Oh no, no, you didn't."
Right. I don't know about the snap.
Maybe not. Probably not.
But no, I understand what you're saying. Like, and I think it's just an interesting dichotomy that she actually owns that house, and she's saying, "Look, I'll give it to you." First she says, "I'll sell it," and he's like, "I can't buy it. Well, I'll just give it to you." And he's like, "That would be stupid if you did that."
Yeah. Why would she do that?
I think just as a parting, to me, it's not like she doesn't care about Cole. Like, I think she loves him. She just can't be with him.
Because all she thinks about
of everything she keeps thinking about. And I really think that's the main reason why she can't. I mean, I think there's other reasons because overall, and you and April have been swooning over him saying, "Oh, he's so nice." And
you were so good
you know what I'm saying?
Though.
So my thing is, I think she loves him, but she can't be with him mainly because of the son issue.
Gabriel.
She wants, and it's like they can't, even if they have that, she keeps being reminded. And on top of that, we know because she blames him for his death. She never said anything, or we didn't hear that before.
Right.
But, right when she looks like she's about to leave, she says, "Wait a second. So why did you leave him?" And she's talking about Gabriel and kind of bringing that up. And
he snaps. That is the Cole that she wanted to see all season long. But and we saw it tonight in the last 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Right. It's too little too late.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep, very true.
But I thought it was very telling that basically, and we saw this kind of early on because if you think about like the first couple of episodes before the affair actually happened and how their relationship had kind of like, they weren't really close, and even when they were trying to be intimate, it wasn't, really true, and just that whole situation, but you didn't know yet.
Yeah.
Now,
we get it.
10 episodes in, we know that she blames him and he constantly sees her, or she sees him and him as being Gabriel in Cole. Yeah. So, oh no. So then Scotty tells Allison to call Noah, and then we see that this is where we find out that huge bombshell, the tow truck driver. You had mentioned earlier that we find out he's working with the detective, because prior to this, we see him kind of talk to the tow truck driver, and he, and this is obviously in the future. We don't know exactly, what it's in relation to. We know that something with a car, but he wanted him basically. He's like, "You're going to talk to this detective. I need you to not say anything about me." So obviously something happened with this tow truck driver in relation to Scotty's murder. So
he had to have killed him.
Right. Well.
Right?
Right? I'm saying we'll get into predictions. Wait.
All right.
So, of course, he's taped, or the tow truck driver, he ends up taping him. But basically, he's going to bribe him. He's offers him $10,000. Tow truck driver says $20,000. And then he's like, "All right, deal. I'll wire it to you right now." We know this is in the future.
When he's made a lot of money on The Descent,
off the book, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So in this version, we find out that the tow truck driver was actually working with the detective. And basically, he taped the entire conversation. Also, the detective has the tape that we saw earlier in Noah's version of, Noah going at Scotty at the Planned Parenthood over Whitney. So, and I knew that was going to come up at some point. Right. But, the detective has that information because, again, he's building a case against
Noah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Winner.
Right. So, and then we also feel like the detective was a little shady too, because
I don't like him.
He's lying about his relationships. It was kind of came up before. We find out, okay, you had a daughter, you had a son. Well, what's going on? And because he's giving little information because he wants to try to relate. Right. He wants to be relatable to Noah and Allison, and that's a kind of tactic he's using. Well, in this particular situation, he said he was divorced, what have you, and then we see that his girl or wife calls him.
What was it? It was Steve.
Is on the phone. So it's disguised.
"Hey, babe."
Right, exactly. So he's a liar. He's a liar. So then Allison and Noah. Both Allison and Noah actually talk in this version. And when I say talk is when they actually go back to the house. This is where Whitney's at. So it was just kind of different. I wanted to star that because, again, in Noah's version, they didn't say one word to each other.
Not even a hi.
Exactly. In this version, they actually do speak, and not that they have a long conversation, but they do speak to one another. And then it gets crazy because everybody's all together, and then Cole's there, which, again, is vastly different from Noah's version. But Cole's there, and he has a gun. He has a gun.
Yes, he does.
And he pulls it out, and he basically, he's on everybody. First, he pulls it out on, of course, Noah. Then I feel like you have Whitney there and Helen, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
Then he's like, oh, well, you should, and then so trying to talk him down or what have you. He then pulls it on Allison. I mean, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then he pulls it on himself.
Yep.
Like he has totally lost it. And I think because everything around him is falling apart.
Yeah.
Of course, they lost the ranch. That was his heart. He loved that ranch. The ranch is gone. Now you have Allison, who is his other heart. She obviously has nothing, doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
So everything around him is crumbling. He doesn't know what to do. This is his mechanism. He's falling apart. And this is how he reacts. She does, talk him down or what have you. He leaves. But the interesting part in this version is that Helen and, Whitney are trying to get out of there. Like, okay, let's go. And then they kind of turn back to Noah and they're like, are you coming? And he's like, hesitant. And Allison is kind of there. So then they take off and then we see him hug Allison.
I was so nervous at this point. That scene, I don't think I breathed at all. But I was so nervous because he was hugging Allison and consoling her. But Cole was right in the other room. Cole stormed off with the gun in his hand, right? Or I don't remember if we saw the gun or not, but he stormed off.
Yeah, I don't know if he had the gun. I don't think he did.
He was really upset.
Right.
And then you see Whitney and Helen leave. It's just, don't do that. Don't. I was really stressed out.
But I think also that set us up for the next scene, which is in the future. And this is where it's neither version. It's basically what's going on.
Yep.
And we see, this is crazy. Oh my God. Okay, let's get out. So we come out, we see Allison. You could tell it's in the future because this is the same look she's had in the times it's
she's
also
wearing
gone.
her scrubs, which means she's back at the hospital.
Short hair, dark. She sits down, and then we see Noah, and they sit on the couch, and like they're a couple, and then they have a child. And wait, hold on. They're talking about the book, and he's gonna have this meeting, so we know the book is out. It's about to be this movie. And then, baby's asleep, so they have a child together. Then we see a knock at the door. And then they both, their faces were priceless. Both of their faces were priceless. Knock at the door. Allison answers the door.
Which I thought was weird because she says, who is it or who's there? There is a peephole there. She could have looked through that.
She could have.
And no, I mean,
I think, but that I don't think that would have made sense because then, of course, it had to be. You have to say it's a detective. So if she's looking at the people, you're not gonna get that line.
That's true.
So I think her saying, who is it? That was a result. He had to say it's the detective.
Yeah.
And so that's when they freak out.
Their faces were priceless.
Because at first they're like, somebody's at the door. That's odd.
Weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when he says it's the detective, boom, scaredy cat face all over the place.
Both of them. It wasn't just Noah.
Exactly, which was very interesting, very telling. He walks in, has all these police officers basically telling him he's under arrest. He doesn't say why. We know why, but saying that he's under arrest because obviously he'd been building this investigation.
Yes.
And then he, comes out, and then of course Allison and them were kind of looking at each other engaged, and it was interesting because Allison said, I'm going to take care of it, or something to that degree.
Yeah.
And she said, do you believe me? He doesn't say anything, and then they escort him out, and then it's over.
How convenient for Allison, though, if he goes away to jail, she's married him. I'm assuming they're married. Don't know. But let's just say they are married.
Okay.
She has the child. She has all of his money and everything. She could divorce him in a hot second. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
But regardless, they're together. They have a child. He goes to jail.
Yes. Which I could not believe because, again, when we were talking before, every time they were always separate. So we knew she had a child because she didn't mention that.
Yes.
But they were always separate when they were talking to the detective in the future, or present day, I should say.
Right.
Because all of this other stuff is obviously in the past. So when it was present day, and they would always talk. So it was interesting. It was a huge bombshell to see that they were together.
Yeah.
Like after all the, and we don't know how many years this happened. I mean, we're assuming there's years attached to it. You have a child and, you know, this book and the movie and all the kind of stuff. So, but man.
Lem, did you see this coming?
No.
No?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. Like, I figured that at some point, you know, Noah was going to be, you know, not arrested, but he was going after Noah, obviously.
Right.
Because of the way he would direct his questions. But I did not see this. The rest of this, not at all.
All that happened in the last couple minutes of the show was very telling. It was a great way to sum up the whole season.
I think so.
I didn't see it coming at all. I was hoping that maybe they would get together in the second season because I didn't think it would happen this season.
But they had to show. But I think it was great. I personally, you know, and you, when you have shows like this, and it's like, it's important how you end it.
Yeah.
Because of course, you know, you have to, and the show's been great as far as how they've been building up and the writing and how they've been giving us little pieces of information here and there along with all the episodes. So I think the way they ended it was really good because you see him get arrested. You know it's for the murder of Scotty.
Yes.
But it's like you don't see anyone else's reaction. So that whole other season, that's going to be season 2, we're going to be able to see that and delve into that and really get into that. So it'll be interesting. But man, let's quickly go into predictions for next season.
Oh God.
Let's do that.
You want a quick comment from the fans?
Oh
Let's
yeah,
do
let's
it.
do it. Let's do it.
This one comes from Roxy. Now knowing that Allison and Noah are together, I wonder if they both are in Scotty's murder. I also love how Allison in the end asked him to trust him, that she'll get him out of there. And don't forget, in the beginning of the season when Allison called most likely Noah about the detective asking her questions about the murder or something.
Interesting. That's a great one. Yeah, let's go into predictions. Let's do that. Oh man.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay. So, I just saw a text message from our girl April, of course, who was away. She said that everyone is tweeting right now that Joshua Jackson, who is the Cole, is killing it right now.
Yes.
He killed it in this episode.
He is.
So he did kill it. He I thought, you know, again, we're supposed to be doing predictions, but I thought he did a really good job in the show. I mean, overall, I mean, the acting was great, but I think his character, because the character he played, I mean, it was a complex, I mean, there was a lot of complex characters, but as a supporting cast, he's, you know, not the main, to stand out like he did was huge, especially in a show like this. That's very, you know, driven with the writing and, you know, and how they, and the plot and how everything kind of comes together. So anyway, shout out to that. But predictions. So going into next season, what do you think?
Speechless. That's what I think. I am anxious to see if he goes to jail and if Allison helps him out. I don't know how strong their relationship is now that we know for these past 4 months, present day, not in the future.
Right.
If we know that he's been sleeping with other people and then trying to get back with Helen and all this stuff, and eventually he does end up with Allison years down the road, and that's when he gets taken away.
Right.
But I wonder how strong their relationship is, because I know that, you know, Allison, like we said earlier, had this fantasy of who Noah was, and I just don't think she's going to find that with him.
Interesting. Okay. Well, for me, I think that he's going to go to jail. I think Allison, I think Allison is actually going to be in his corner.
Okay.
I really think he's going to be in his corner because I think that that's what she has. I think she's pretty much detached herself from Cole and the rest of his family. I also think she doesn't really have, again, a strong relationship with her mother because, again, she was all about her child. Like, her child, that came up. Gabriel came up so much in this whole season.
So much, yeah.
The fact now that she has a child, and so that, you know, has been, you know, she's been able to have that child and take care of that child, and that child was with Noah. I think her allegiance will lie to Noah.
Okay.
And I think she will do everything in her power to get out of it, but I do think, because of her reaction, I think she had something to do with it. I think she had something to do with Scotty's murder. Obviously, Noah, I think he's the one being arrested.
Right.
But I think she did play a role in it.
I think she knows exactly what happened.
Right.
Okay, good point.
Right.
Good
so
point.
I think she knows, and we'll find out, obviously, more in the season, how it all came about. But this season was so dope. This show is amazing. Showtime,
I've never
you
experienced
guys
a show
did an
like
awesome
this.
Yeah, it's really one of a kind. It really is
Yeah.
one of a kind. I've seen kind of the whole split versions, in movies and stuff like that, but never in a television show. And
smart.
especially to this magnitude.
Yep.
So shout out to Showtime for putting it down.
Love it. Thank you.
Man, so excited. I cannot wait till next season. I hope it's I want it to start next week.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it would
Please.
start next week. Can you please?
And thanks for all your
Yeah.
comments on YouTube. And Roxy,
Absolutely.
shout out to you. Thank you for that fantastic comment.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. And please, tweet us. Let us know what you thought about the show. You can comment on the YouTube. This will obviously be downloaded tomorrow. So you can comment on YouTube what you think is going to happen next season.
We'd love to read it.
I'd love to hear what you have to say, because there was a lot. I mean, this was a complex show.
Yep.
So there's a lot that we could have missed that you could, I can't even talk because I'm just so Anyway, my name is Lim Gonsalves. I've been your host. You can find me on social media at The Poet Saint, and that's on Twitter and Instagram. Kelly, where can they find you, girl?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Kelly Knez.
Yeah. Until next time, next season, we will be back. We will
Yes,
be ready,
we will.
present, and it's all about the affair, homie.
Thanks, guys.
Good night. Have a good week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.